Cases climb. New tonight on Our News Live at 7. And Our News Health Alert as officials confirm 16 cases of dengue fever. The chief medical officer says residents are at high risk. Also, a pediatrician putting parents on alert over an uptick in respiratory illnesses in children. But first, years in the making, the Attorney General unveils a newly drafted cannabis legislation. Then in Our News at 7:30, community on edge. Find out what led to a recently released sex offender being brought into protective custody. Our News Live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to Our News Live at 7. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard. Health officials sounding the alarm in hopes of preventing another dengue fever outbreak as the Bahamas records 16 cases. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Pearl McMillan says everyone is at high risk. Our Berthany McDermott, who is following this, joins us live from the Ministry of Health with the latest. Berthany?
Megan, yes, that press conference wrapping up just a few hours ago with health officials saying they're in a state of increased awareness as they seek to prevent an outbreak.
As of 3 p.m. this afternoon, my ministry have lab confirmation of some 16 dengue cases in the country, 3 which are in hospital, 1 at the intensive care unit at the Princess Margaret Hospital.
In addition to the confirmed cases, health officials are keeping an eye on a suspected case in Abaco. The health minister says the goal is to prevent an outbreak. Despite the cases, environmental health official says there's no need for island-wide fogging. This is the second time the Bahamas has seen a cluster of cases of dengue fever. Back in 2011, the Bahamas saw an outbreak of serotype 1 and 2. This time, officials have confirmation of serotype 3, which Darville says is concerning. Even more alarming is the news from the chief medical officer that everyone is at high risk.
Our population would have been previously exposed to 2 serotypes in 2011 when we had a significant outbreak. That is what puts you at highest risk right now.
Classic signs are fever, aches, pains, rashes, and headaches. However, Dr. McMillan says up to 80% of those infected won't show symptoms. The Ministry of Health is working to build capacity at Family Island clinics. In New Providence, Public Hospitals Authority Managing Director Dr. Auburnet Roll says PMH is ready given the already strained facility. She says the modular units introduced during the COVID-19 pandemic are all full of non-infectious patients.
Thus, we now are partnering to ensure that we have extended hours. So you would have heard about the extension of the hours at the Gambia Clinic and Fox Hill. Outside the regular hours, they'll be extended from 4 to 8 p.m. And then we will move forward on Saturdays from 9 to 6 p.m. And we're getting colleagues to volunteer to assist that.
Now, Megan, as for what we all can do to stay safe, officials are advising people get rid of anything in their yards that can hold water. We're also advised to wear long-sleeve shirts and long-sleeve pants despite the heat to protect yourself from mosquito bites. They're also advising residents get in the habit of traveling with mosquito repellent. But for now, reporting from the Ministry of Health for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott, sending it back to you in studio, Megan.
Again, our Berthany McDermott reporting live for us tonight. Thank you for that update and those helpful tips, Berthany. And if you want to learn more about the signs and symptoms of dengue fever, head over to ournews.bs and Our News Bahamas for an explainer piece. And still on health, we are also hearing from a pediatrician tonight, expressing concern over what she says appears to be an increase in respiratory illnesses among children. We'll get to that in a moment, but now to this. The proposed cannabis bill, a bill to amend the Dangerous Drugs Act, and a bill to amend the Pharmacy Act have been made public. Attorney General Ryan Pinder saying the compendium of legislation creates a framework for regulating the cultivation of cannabis as an agricultural crop and allow for certain medical treatment, scientific research, and religious uses of the drug. Jamila Mizik picks up the story from here.
The Bahamas is one step closer to legalizing cannabis for specific purposes as the government is welcoming public consultation on the proposed legislation. Attorney General Ryan Pinder revealing as much today, noting that the legislation of the cannabis industry can open up significant new agricultural business opportunities for Bahamians.
We are proposing, for example, all cultivation licenses must be 100% Bahamian owned.
The proposed legislation also allows for doctors to prescribe cannabis for medicinal use.
To relieve pain and suffering for cancer patients, those with multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, and other conditions. It's important to note only very specific medical conditions will qualify.
And not to be left out are those who wish to use marijuana as a part of their beliefs. The proposed legislation also allows for the use of cannabis as a sacrament by the followers of the Rastafarian faith, but they'll need a special license.
Finally, we are proposing the decriminalization of a small amount of cannabis possession, less than 30 grams, which is about an ounce.
But the AG says there will still be consequences for the use of cannabis outside the scope of the legislation.
If you are buying cannabis for recreational purposes, you are committing an offense. If you are selling cannabis without a license, you are committing an offense. If you are importing cannabis into the country without a license, you are committing an offense. Those have not changed as a result of this legislation.
Now, the proposed bill also seeks to establish a Bahamas Cannabis Authority that will be responsible for regulating the industry. To review the full compendium of legislation and provide your feedback, you can visit www.cannabisbahamas.gov.bs. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Misick.
Thanks, Jamila. A never-ending battle. That's how pediatrician Dr. Tamara Moss of Healthy Kids Pediatrics is describing respiratory viruses among children. This, as she says, as of late, they have seen an uptick in the illness in the country, which is concerning.
Over the summer even, which is unusual, we know that September going through to March usually tends to be our respiratory virus season, but it seems as though it hadn't really ended. So we've been seeing an uptick in that. And I want to tell parents that if you have children who have chronic illnesses like asthma, things like sickle cell, you want to make sure that those chronic illnesses are really well controlled, just to give your child, have them in the best possible baseline state of health, so that if they do encounter any of these respiratory viruses, they're able to fight them off, same as anybody else.
And as for preventative tips,
sanitization, so hand washing, just back to basics. Hand washing, minimizing your exposure to these germs. So definitely, you don't want anybody to make your child sick, but if you recognize that your child has a fever, runny nose, do the responsible thing and not send them in until they're better. Also, you can just make sure that their overall state of health is good. So adhering to good nutrition, making sure they get their 5 servings of fruits and vegetables daily. If they're picky eaters, you can opt to put them on a multivitamin.
we have got much more to get to tonight, but for now, it's time for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Kindino, and a happy Thursday evening, everybody. Much improved conditions around the islands tonight. We are still in the warm sector, though. 86 degrees outside our studios with just a few clouds. Winds out of the north-northeast at 8 miles per hour, and it's making it feel like a 92 degrees on the outside. Temperatures around the islands right now, it's 84 in Freeport, 85 over in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. Pick up a pair of 86s, Alistown, Bimini, and in Nicholstown, Andros, Greater Harbor Key. You guys are 87. 85 in Governor's Harbor, Central Bahamas. 85s, most locations. That's Kemps Bay, Georgetown, Arthurstown, Cat Island, Deadman's Key. Coburn Town, San Salvador, you're warmer at 88 and into the southeast Bahamas. 86 in Duncantown, Ragged Island. We pick up more 85s in Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay, Abrahams Bay, Matthewtown in Agua. And our good neighbors, Turks and Caicos Islands, you are also 85 at this hour. Satellite and radar composite. Actually, this is satellite and hurricane position showing where Franklin is right now. Franklin is moving away from the southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands. You guys were spared from the impacts of this system. A lot of the convection is still towards the east. The center of circulation is just under this icon right there. But Franklin will continue to move out towards the east-northeast at pretty much a good pace. But by the weekend, we expect that system to turn more towards the north, eventually becoming a hurricane and then it's setting its eyes on Bermuda, which should be watching that system over the next couple of days. Behind that, we are left with a weak pressure pattern across the islands. Not much in terms of any weather, but there's a weak frontal boundary that's sagged to the north Bahamas. That will lend a few showers throughout tonight and into tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us to look at your extended forecast is still to come.
We are just getting started in our news, but when we come back, Bahamian star athlete Devin Charlton is the world's fourth fastest hurdler in the women's 100 meters. More from a race in Budapest today. But first, a man stabbed in a fight on Royal Palm Street dies in hospital. Investigators say they've captured the suspect. And the demolition continues as two shantytown homes next on the list. We'll tell you where when our news returns.
It's time to pack your bags and get ready to go.
The Our News team is on the move, off to the island of brilliant coral reefs and serene beaches. It's got the deepest underwater sinkhole in the world, and I'm told, the best mutton in the Bahamas.
Join me, Marlena Leonard, as we explore the beautiful Long Island.
Starting August 28th for one full week of reports in Our News Live at 7 and 7:30. Follow Our News on Facebook and Instagram for even more interesting and fun facts. Meet us in Long Island.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer service that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
A 49-year-old man is being questioned by police in connection with a stabbing that killed a 43-year-old resident of Royal Palm Street. Police said 8:18 last night. The victim was involved in a fight with another man who pulled out a knife and stabbed him multiple times about the body. The suspect fled the Royal Palm Street area but was captured by police a short time later. The victim was taken to the hospital by EMS personnel where he died. Two illegal structures in a shantytown off Carmichael Road are next up for demolition. Deputy Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Keishla Adderley, revealing as much today when questioned about where government stood with those demolitions. You may recall that back in May, a Supreme Court ruling made way for only two shantytown structures to be demolished. However, the Davis administration stood firm on its plans to demolish more of the illegal structures.
As you know, a lot of what happens with the shanty towns has to be in accordance with court rulings. The Supreme Court has recently given a ruling that gives clearance for two structures in the Carmichael area to be demolished. The final notices have been given in that regard, and it's expected that those demolitions will take place within the next 10 days or so.
Adderley also adding this point.
The Secretariat is also in the process of setting up an operations center, finding a spot to be able to operate from, and assessments, investigations, etc. are underway with a view to how to deal with the many more irregular communities and dealing with the demolition of those communities.
If you hope to own a home someday, you may be one step closer to reaching your goal, as the Teachers and Salaried Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited has set aside $25 million for mortgages for affordable homes. It comes by way of a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Housing and the Teachers and Salaried Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. General Manager Byron Miller says the funds will assist around 100 Bahamians in the capital and on the Family Islands.
Which goes further than the traditional commercial banks that are hesitant to invest in the Family Islands. Our credit union, and with our chairman herself hailing with great background in a lot of the Family Islands, we are very much and keenly interested in providing financing for homes and others in Family Islands.
Housing Minister JoBeth Colby Davis says while the ministry cannot dictate who people should do business with, she did say this provides another option. She stressed the equal opportunity available for all Family Islanders.
We have property and projects basically maybe on all, maybe not in the same size, but I think we have availability to build on all Family Islands. But remember, this is the first time a government is actually building affordable homes in the Family Islands. Our structure for Department of Housing was normally we would sell lots in the Family Islands because a lot of them preferred to build their own homes, and now the demand is greater for them to get turnkey options.
Devin Charlton is the fourth fastest in the world in the women's 100-meter hurdles, just missing a medal this afternoon in a time of 12.52 seconds. She ran out of lane 6 in Budapest today. In the prelims, Devin got a season's best and a new national record of 12.44 seconds. Earlier today, Anthony Strawn made the 200-meter final, advancing to her first global final ever. She ran 22.30 seconds in her semifinal heat today. Congratulations to both ladies, and for more, stay tuned for Our Sports coming up at 7:30 with our Tage Adderley. When Our News comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world. As the world waits for the mugshot of former U.S. President Donald Trump, as he is about to surrender to police. And over in the UK, over 100,000 students to resit GCSE English and math exams. Plus, the Jamaican government lifts a requirement for Rastafarian students. Find out what when Our News returns.
Canoe is a digital wallet that allows merchants and consumers to conduct transactions seamlessly on their cell phones. Our cashless solution is safe, easy, convenient, and designed to make life easier for all. And without Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, it would be impossible to do what we do every day.
I always envisioned Evolve being a cashless business long before COVID-19. Once I found Canoe, I realized they were the perfect fit for my company.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
It's time to pack your bags and get ready to go.
The Our News team is on the move, off to the island of brilliant coral reefs and serene beaches. It's got the deepest underwater sinkhole in the world, and I'm told the best mutton in the Bahamas.
Join me, Marlena Leonard, as we explore the beautiful Long Island.
Starting August 28th for one full week of reports on Our News Live at 7 and 7:30. Follow Our News on Facebook and Instagram for even more interesting and fun facts. Meet us in Long Island.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. Donald Trump will surrender in Georgia to face charges of trying to overturn his 2020 election loss in the state. The former president will likely be fingerprinted and have his mugshot taken at Fulton County Jail in Atlanta. He will return at a later date to enter a plea in court. His bail has been set at $200,000. Trump denies 13 charges, including racketeering and false statements, and says the charges are politically motivated. On Wednesday, his former lawyer Rudy Giuliani and other co-defendants surrendered in the same case. This is Trump's fourth criminal case as he runs for election again in 2024.
Our government, literally right before everyone's face, weaponized the justice system.
This is America. We don't have walls up. We actually allow people to question an election.
Russian President Vladimir Putin sent his condolences to the family of Yevgeny Prigozhin on Thursday, breaking his silence after the mercenary leader's plane crashed with no survivors, 2 months after he led a mutiny against army chiefs. The 62-year-old was head of the Wagner mercenary group and a self-declared enemy of the army top brass over what he says was its incompetent prosecution of Russia's so-called special military operation in Ukraine.
As far as I know, it was only yesterday that he got back from Africa. I met some officials here, but what is absolutely clear, the head of the investigative committee reported to me this morning they have already launched a preliminary investigation into this incident. It will be carried out in full and to the end. There is no doubt about that here. Let's see what the investigators say in the near future. Tests, technical and genetic tests, will be carried out now. This takes some time.
Tens of thousands more 16-year-olds than last year will need to resit their English and Maths GCSE exams in the UK. More than 167,000 students in England received a grade 3 or lower on their maths paper, about 21,000 more than in 2022, while 38,000 more, 172,000, failed English language, the highest number in a decade. The head teachers' unions have said this will put more pressure on colleges. Male Rastafarian students in Jamaica will no longer be required to wear tams to cover their dreadlocks while in classes. While addressing the 59th annual conference of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Education Minister Favour Williams said the measure would most likely go into effect this new academic term. She told the conference the new directive is a part of a new draft of the dress and grooming policy, which is set to be published ahead of the new academic year. The 13th Commonwealth Women's Affairs Ministers meeting is officially in the history books, and it is being dubbed as rewarding. 56 member states have agreed on a roadmap that will shape the development and advancement of women in the Commonwealth, topping the agenda for the Bahamas, making a greater impact for women with disabilities and women in trade. 3 days of high-level discussions and action planning coming to an end with a plan that highlights and addresses the major issues impacting women and girls in the Commonwealth. Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat, Patricia Scotland, noting that ministers looked at building gender-sensitive policies, women in leadership, and much more.
We've created the Commonwealth Climate Finance Access Hub to try and get money into the hands of our member states in a way that will make the difference. And with just $6 million, the Commonwealth has already delivered $310 million into the hands of our member states, and there's another $500 million in the pipeline.
Minister for Social Services Obi Wilshcombe highlighting some of the key takeaways that he is hoping will be implemented right here in the Bahamas. He notes that over 1.3 billion people, or 16% of the global population, experiences a significant disability. And not only are women and girls disproportionately impacted, they also face multiple barriers that may result in lower economic and social statuses and increased risk of gender-based violence.
All ministers acknowledge that these are barriers to the full realization of the rights of all women and girls with disabilities. Ministers welcomed the recommendations for gender equality and inclusion of persons with disabilities, highlighting the importance of the collection of disaggregated disability data and the adoption of a disability mainstreaming approach.
Ministers also acknowledged the challenges faced by women-owned small and medium-sized businesses. Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard. When you think about pollution, you might not immediately think about the products in your bathroom. But in tonight's Sustainability First report, Marlena Leonard tells us just how much of a difference reducing the plastic packaging in your bathroom products can have on the planet.
Bahamas First, putting sustainability first for our people and our environment. What's first for you and the planet comes first for us.
The beauty industry produces an estimated 120 million units of packaging annually and a whopping 70% of the beauty industry's waste. And seeing that only about 9% of plastics get recycled, it's up to us to make the mindful choices that reduce the likelihood of more plastic ending up in the ocean. Here are some top tips for how you can make your personal care products also care for the environment. Cut down on plastic packaging by choosing companies that package in refillable bottles like glass or aluminum, or even switching to bar soaps. Instead of constantly buying plastic razors, consider the switch from plastic to metal razors. Look for deodorant in cardboard or biodegradable packaging. And when it comes time to get a new toothbrush, consider wooden or other biodegradable toothbrushes. They even make plant-based toothbrush heads that are compatible with electric toothbrushes. Reporting for Our News and reminding you to put sustainability first, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Still to come in Our News, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was August 24th. Then in Our News at 7:30, Community on Edge. Find out what led to a recently released sex offender being brought into protective custody. Plus, did he return the government's car? North Abaco MP Kirk Cornish back in the news tonight. We'll show you the photo that sparked the question when Our News returns.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
A digital wallet that allows merchants and consumers to conduct transactions seamlessly on their cell phones. Our cashless solution is safe, easy, convenient, and designed to make life easier for all. And without Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, it would be impossible to do what we do every day.
I always envisioned Evolve being a cashless business long before COVID-19. Once I found Canoe, I realized they were the perfect fit for my company.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology and your
Welcome back to Our News. It's now time to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was August 24th. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history, in 2011, Hurricane Irene made landfall in the Bahamas as a Category 3 hurricane. Top sustained wind speeds were recorded at 115 miles per hour. No deaths were reported as a result of the hurricane, but damage to homes and to property was estimated at $40 million. The greatest devastation was caused in the southeastern Bahamas, particularly in the islands of Cat Island, Acklins, and Crooked Island. Then, a year later in 2012, funeral services were held for former F&M chairman and cabinet minister Charles Maynard, who died while campaigning in the North Abaco by-election more than a week prior. Family and political colleagues remembered his life.
From his election to Parliament at the age of 37 and over 5 short years, Charlie demonstrated that age-old life lesson that is not the quantity of the days given, rather is the quality of how we live those days, with passion and commitment that makes all the difference. In politics, Charlie earned the respect of his colleagues.
Charlie, as we affectionately called him, has left a void within the FNM. The FNM feels his loss. I feel his loss, friends and family. I have lost a good friend, a supporter, my chairman.
And finally, in 2018, just 2 weeks after he was officially sworn in as the country's Chief Justice, Stephen Isaacs passed away at Doctors Hospital. He was 63 years old. At his swearing-in at Government House on August 10th, he was hailed by then Attorney General Carl Bethel as the perfect man for the job. Cabinet Office released a statement lauding Isaacs as the epitome of the highest standards of conduct that can be found in a judicial officer. Now to watch that historical recap again and for today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. That does it for our news at 7. Joining us now is our Talia Hall with the latest headlines.
Yes, thanks so much, Megan. Well, find out what led to a recently released sex offender being brought into protective custody. Plus, did he return the government's car? North Abaco MP Kirk Cornish back in the news tonight. Here are your latest headlines. A community on edge, first tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. A recently released sex offender brought into protective custody after being accused of another sex crime. Also, public consultation. The Davis administration set to hold talks on newly proposed medicinal marijuana legislation. And questions surfacing tonight over whether North Abaco MP Kirk Cornish is still in possession of a government vehicle weeks after his resignation. Plus, sending the wrong message. The opposition leader says government is taking the wrong approach with the Grand Bahama Port Authority. We'll tell you the implications for foreign investment when Our News Live at 7:30 returns.
It's time to pack your bags and get ready to go.
The Our News team is on the move, off to the island of brilliant coral reefs and serene beaches. It's got the deepest underwater sinkhole in the world, and I'm told the best mutton in the Bahamas.
Join me, Marlena Leonard, as we explore the beautiful Long Island.
Starting August 28th for one full week of reports in Our News Live at 7 and 7:30. Follow Our News on Facebook and Instagram for even more interesting and fun facts. Meet us in Long Island.
If new, Heineken Silver was a riveting Viking saga.
Last the 12th, your family tortured my first wife and stole my second favorite goat. Now you want to marry my daughter. Okay.
All the taste, no bitter endings. Smooth, fresh, silver.
Doctors Hospital is reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station, open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. An alleged attempted abduction in the Coconut Grove area leading police to take a recently released sex offender into protective custody, but police say he had nothing to do with the crime. While that did not stop angry residents from trying to get their hands on the sex offender, the incident went viral on social media. Our Joshua Williams reports.
Serial groper Sidney Cooper is in protective custody just 1 week after National Security Minister Wayne Munroe announced his release. Viral videos on social media show Cooper being escorted from a house by officers as a crowd gathered around shouting threats and jeers. Following this morning's chaos, police released a statement saying there was an attempted abduction of a 12-year-old girl who was walking on 4th Street, The Grove. They also made it clear Cooper is not a suspect in the crime. But that's not what residents assumed, and police say they approached his home armed with rocks, bottles, and cutlasses. Police say Cooper was taken into protective custody. This resident says she witnessed the ordeal.
Now this morning, I heard all of the big noise and stuff, and when I peeped out of my yard, and I looked up the street where he lived with his mother, okay, I saw everybody trying to attack him, and they said that he needs to come out of this house, get out of the area before they kill him. Everybody was with their rock and their bottle.
Cooper's 15 convictions for sexual offenses came over the course of 19 years starting in 2000. Last week, National Security Minister Wayne Munroe told reporters that Cooper has served his time and his release was only made public for residents to safeguard themselves. Despite the warning, residents do not feel safe.
Everybody on here feel unsafe. Everybody is afraid.
Meanwhile, police say they're looking for the alleged would-be abductor. He's described as tall, bald-headed, of a light complexion, and was wearing a blue hooded jacket. With the suspect still on the loose, this father has a warning for his community.
For every man out there who have young kids, who get children, listen, be vigilant and be sober. Oh, shoot. You good? Be sober, and guess what? Just watch the children.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
Thanks, Josh. Well, the Davis administration set to launch public consultations on proposed medicinal marijuana legislation. Proposed legislation was made public today. Bills can include the Cannabis Bill, a bill to amend the Dangerous Drugs Act, and a bill to amend the Pharmacy Act. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville noting the compendium bill comprises of an amendment to the Dangerous Drug Act as well as the Pharmacy Act.
This draft legislation will seek to remove Indian hemp from all current medical legislation and replace it with cannabis. Cannabis will then be removed from the Dangerous Drug Act and reclassified as a controlled substance that would be regulated and controlled by my ministry and other government authorities for handling of cannabis for medical use, scientific research, religious purposes, and yes, the establishment of a local cannabis authority.
Now, the health minister emphasizing the proposed legislation will not allow cannabis for recreational use, and it will only be accessible by prescription from a trained, licensed, registered physician.
We are committed to implementing mandatory and ongoing training for healthcare professionals to ensure that they have the necessary knowledge, expertise to prescribe cannabis safely and responsibly to the Bahamian healthcare individuals. Accountability, safety, and quality are paramount in our approach to this legislative framework. We will establish regulations to guarantee that high-quality cannabis products produced under strict guidelines are available to Bahamian patients.
All right, well, a 35-year-old man is in custody after he was found in possession of dangerous drugs on Wednesday night. Reports of that around 9:15, officers from Operation Ceasefire and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force conducted searches of a Pinewood Gardens home where they found a quantity of suspected marijuana. As a result, the man was arrested. The weight and street value of the drugs are unknown at this time. Minister for Social Services Obi Wilshcombe weighing in on the conversation surrounding illegal abortions in the country and the possibility of amending the law. This after it was revealed that a mother gave her 11-year-old daughter an illegal abortion pill. The minister's comments came on the sidelines of a Women's Affairs ministers' meeting.
It's illegal. And I'm sure with advocacy being made by various organizations, civil society in particular, it's likely to come up again. But we will wait for that to happen. The truth is, globally, other countries have had to take the same course of action, and they've had to make some decisions. It cannot be right if somebody is raped to have to endure the pregnancy. There has to be some issues, and we have to look at that.
He says it is an issue he's willing to bring up at the governmental level.
There are a number of issues that we have to raise, and the more issues that we've not dealt with over the many decades in our country, since 50 years of independence, we have to deal with. We cannot continue to ignore the issues or not deal with it or because it doesn't come up. Now it's in the forefront, now we're discussing it, and so we have to find ways to get to resolutions, and it's about thinking about the issues. What are the issues facing women? What are the issues that women have to deal with?
And this just in from Exuma, we are learning of an apparent crash landing by a Flamingo Air charter in Black Point. Police confirming the incident in a statement late this evening, saying it happened around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Police say 9 passengers were on board and that no one was injured. You can see from this video now making its rounds on social media, a frightened passenger asking the pilot if the 15-seater aircraft crash was due to a mechanical issue, to which the pilot responded yes.
So what's going to happen? They're going to send another plane to pick us?
Yeah, they're going to send another plane for us.
So where are we supposed to go now? We are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we're going to get down. See some people are coming to help us right now.
Okay. Thanks.
Now, we attempted to reach out to the owners of the airline, but our calls were not returned up to news time. Police say investigations continue. Now, be sure to stay tuned to ournews.bs for the latest on this. We've got much more to get to in a moment, but for now, Tropical Storm Franklin is moving away from the area. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the first check on weather. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and welcome everybody for a quick check on conditions outside our studios and around the islands. It's 86 degrees on the outside right now with a few clouds. We'll call it warm. North-northeast winds at 8 miles per hour, and that's making it feel like a warm 92 degrees. On our satellite radar composite, nothing much happening across the Bahamas. We have a weak front boundary that's dropping across the northern islands. A couple of isolated showers with that, but that northeast wind is taking most of the activity across South Florida. And of course, Franklin is gradually moving away from the southeast Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands. Most of the convection to the east of the center of circulation. We continue to watch the system move out towards the east-northeast and then eventually turning more towards the north for the weekend, possibly becoming a hurricane by that time. That's a quick check on conditions around the island. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
We're just getting started, but when we come back, the opposition party asking for Kirk Cornish's resignation letter to be made public. We'll show you the pictures that prompted the call. And this as the party criticizes government over its public back and forth with the Grand Bahama Port Authority. And the incident involving a tourist whose cab driver left her and her party stranded leads to disciplinary action when Our News returns.
Are you or a loved one under medical care? Do you need affordable medical supplies? Ports International is the
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
A digital wallet that allows merchants and consumers to conduct transactions seamlessly on their cell phones. Our cashless solution is safe, easy, convenient, and designed to make life easier for all. And without Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, it would be impossible to do what we do every day.
I always envisioned Evolve being a cashless business long before COVID-19. Once I found Canoe, I realized they were the perfect fit for my company.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas.
Get you ready for back to school. Find ready-made uniforms and uniform fabrics for all.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands is asking for North Abaco MP Kirk Cornish's resignation to be made public after these photos made its rounds on social media of government cars parked at what is believed to be his home after he resigned. That's the photo there. Well, Cornish resigned as parliamentary secretary in the office of the Prime Minister one day before he was arraigned on threats of death and sexual assault charges. Sands is questioning how this is being allowed to happen.
I think we need to see that resignation letter, or whether the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, threw him a little bly and let him keep driving that SUV. But my information is that there's a red plate SUV in the driveway of Mr. Cornish. It's the same red plate SUV that he was driving when he was parliamentary secretary. And if that is indeed the case, then this is yet again an example of where our government, our Prime Minister, has misled us about the facts of a particular matter.
Now we reach out to Cornish, who did not return any of our calls or answer any of our messages up to airtime. We put the question to Acting Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Keishla Adderley, today.
I can't confirm whether or not that's true or what the situation is with that, unfortunately, but I can look into it.
Between government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority doesn't seem like it will end anytime soon. Some say it doesn't send a good message to investors, while the leader of the Free National Movement is also weighing in on the situation.
It is a confusing message. It sends the wrong signal to the local and international community. It creates economic uncertainty.
Those thoughts coming from leader of the Free National Movement, Michael Pintard. He's weighing in on the back and forth between government and the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Just this week, port officials sent a statement detailing their responsibilities and efforts. They made it clear that they are not subsidized by the government. While Pintard agrees that more is required at the helm from the port, he also says he does not support the government's recent comments, adding that government should have held meetings between all stakeholders.
And then working out a pathway on how to create employment, how to broaden the ownership of the associated companies, that is the port group, of companies. How do we attract investment to Freeport? How do we define what Freeport, in particular, Grand Bahama in general, is going to look like? These are the kinds of things that the Prime Minister should have engaged in instead of grandstanding and attempting to give the impression that their failure in Grand Bahama is a reflection of the Port Authority alone.
Now, Chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party, Fred Mitchell, firing back at the port's statement, claiming the GBPA received a real property tax exemption in 2016, which he says is estimated at $8 million a year, totaling some $64 million by now, which Mitchell says is an example of a subsidiary. Mitchell calling the statement by the port an attack and wishes them luck on what he says is an ill-advised course. But Pintard says despite all this, he doesn't think government has what it takes to manage the city of Freeport.
The government has the rest of the Bahamas. Do you think that they're doing a remarkably good job? I certainly don't. And the people of Freeport certainly don't. The government is in full charge of West and East Grand Bahama, and they are struggling in terms of infrastructural upkeep and upgrade. Secondly, they are struggling to find a pathway for investment in the two segments of Grand Bahama that they're in full control of.
All right, well, the taxi driver that was alleged to have left a party of 18 tourists stranded after being paid has had his license suspended. That's according to Transport Minister Joette Colby Davis. Colby Davis says the man was taken into custody, but an official complaint has not been filed.
I don't know if they've advanced it further. They're still investigating it. But from the road traffic standpoint, the tribunal, I think, suspended the license because there were some other things that were raised during his conversation with the acting controller that advised us that maybe he overcrowded as well. So for those matters, the tribunal had suspended it, and I think they're in communication with the police to determine if any charges would be pressed before we do anything else.
Following the incident, Taxi Cab Union President Wesley Ferguson said there needs to be a code of conduct to prevent instances like these. We put the matter to the minister responsible.
We have been working on the complete document, and I spoke to the chair of the Road Traffic Board, who advised that they're trying to have that ready for September. But because I wouldn't have control, that's a board, that's a Road Traffic Authority board.
We bring you the latest from the World Athletics Championships, and we catch up with one of our top baseball prospects. Stay right there. Our Sports is coming up next.
And we're looking at potentially wet weather conditions early next week as a new system is developing in the tropics. Craig is in the Weather Center tracking the tropics when Our News returns. Stay with us.
It's time to pack your bags and get ready to go. The Our News team is on the move, off to the island of brilliant coral reefs and serene beaches. It's got the deepest underwater sinkhole in the world, and I'm told, the best mutton in the Bahamas. Join me, Marlena Leonard, as we explore the beautiful Long Island. Starting August 28th for one full week of reports on Our News Live at 7 and 7:30. Follow Our News on Facebook and Instagram for even more interesting and fun facts. Meet us in Long Island.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
A a digital wallet that allows merchants and consumers to conduct transactions seamlessly on their cell phones. Our cashless solution is safe, easy, convenient, and designed to make life easier for all. And without Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, it would be impossible to do what we do every day.
I always envisioned Evolve being a cashless business long before COVID-19. Once I found Canoe, I realized they were the perfect fit for my company.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Canoe is a digital wallet that allows merchants and consumers to conduct transactions seamlessly on their cell phones. Our cashless solution is safe, easy, convenient, and designed to make life easier for all. And without Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, it would be impossible to do what we do every day.
I always envisioned Evolve being a cashless.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits. This is our news. Welcome back. The World Athletics Championships continue, and a top baseball prospect continues his standout play. Here's Tage Adderley with a check on sports. Tage?
Thanks, Italia. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Our Sports. I'm Tage Adderley. Day 6 of the World Athletics Championships concluded earlier this afternoon. Let's see how our athletes did. Anthony Strawn came third today in the semifinal of the 200 meters in a time of 22.30 seconds. With that finish, she'll advance to the finals tomorrow at 3:40 p.m. Bahamas time. Devin Charlton ran as well, coming in fourth place in the 100-meter hurdles finals in a time of 12.52 seconds. And finally, NCAA National Javelin champ Rima Otterbor's run in the meet came to an end yesterday. She had a throw of 53.62 meters during the qualifying round. Once again, congratulations to our athletes performing over there in Hungary. Moving things over to the diamond, BJ Murray continues to light up the minor leagues. He helped his Tennessee Smokies pull out a win yesterday. BJ Murray of the Tennessee Smokies continues his hot hitting. The switch-hitting third baseman went 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run last night as the Smokies beat the Chattanooga Lookouts 8-4. The Chicago Cubs affiliate is back in action right now against the Lookouts. Murray's been hitting the ball well all year. Major League rosters expand on September 1st. It will be a big surprise if he wasn't on the north side when that happens. That'll do it for sports today. I'm Tage Adderley.
When our news comes back, we are watching another area for potential development in the tropics. As the Hurricane Center says, it has quite a significant chance of formation. Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast when our news continues.
It's time to pack your bags and get ready to go. The Our News team is on the move, off to the island of brilliant coral reefs and serene beaches. It's got the deepest underwater sinkhole in the world, and I'm told, the best mutton in the Bahamas. Join me, Marlena Leonard, as we explore the beautiful Long Island. Starting August 28th for one full week of reports on Our News Live at 7 and 7:30. Follow Our News on Facebook and Instagram for even more interesting and fun facts. Meet us in Long Island.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer service that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Canoe is a digital wallet that allows merchants and consumers to conduct transactions seamlessly on their cell phones. Our cashless solution is safe, easy, convenient, and designed to make life easier for all. And without Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, it would be impossible to do what we do every day.
I always envisioned Evolve being a cashless business long before COVID-19. Once I found Canoe, I realized they were the perfect fit for my company.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-89.
Welcome back to our news. We are watching another area for potential development in the tropics. The Hurricane Center says it has quite a significant chance for formation. Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center with more on this. Greg, we understand this system may bring some wet weather early next week.
Yeah, thanks again, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody, for a final check at weather. We are still tracking Franklin, even though it's not posing a problem for the Bahamas. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. But the remainder of the tropics, we are watching a couple of tropical systems out there. A system that is moving across the central Atlantic, the National Hurricane Center giving that a low to medium chance for formation. And then, of course, there is the remnants of Emily, which is still sitting out there in the Atlantic, the National Hurricane Center giving that a high chance for formation. But that will continue to track towards the north and away from us. Then there's the remnants of Gert, not really tracking that, but some convection still associated with that system. And then, of course, we have Franklin, which is just to the east of the Bahamas, north of Puerto Rico and the eastern coast of Hispaniola, moving towards the east-northeast. We continue on that track over the next couple of days. Eventually, by the weekend, we expect that system to make a sharp turn towards the north. And eventually, it's expected to become a hurricane as it approaches the Bermuda area over the next several days and into early next week. Behind that, weak cold front dropping across the northern Bahamas, couple isolated showers associated with that system, but that will dissipate as it pushes towards the south, and high pressure will remain across the area. Then we are turning our attention to the western Caribbean, where there's a blob of showers and thunderstorms, a disturbed area of showers and thunderstorms that is expected to cross Central America and get into the Western Gulf, Western Caribbean Sea. National Hurricane Center giving that a pretty much medium chance for formation. We will continue to watch this as it's expected to track towards the north and eventually moving near the Florida area by early next week. So we could see some showers, possibly even some thunderstorms, with that likely or possible to form into a depression by the time it gets into our neck of the woods. Taking a look at our boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow, your winds will be picking up, becoming northeasterly at 15 knot, seas running 3 to 5 feet. That's behind the front boundary. Low tide will be at 8:41 tonight. For the southeast and central Bahamas, northwest and northerly flow at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, just a few showers expected in the forecast tomorrow. We get a bit of clearing on Saturday, some more showers introduced by Sunday, and then by the early part of next week, pretty much nice, but by Wednesday we expect that system to be in our neck of the woods out of the Gulf of Mexico, so we introduce some more showers in the forecast at that time. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great night, everybody, and stay safe.
All right, thanks so much, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening. On the Record with Jerome Sawyer starts right now.